My name is Lisa Demaro, and I am joined by my husband, Chris Demaro, and we're here to welcome you back to the Talking Gravesend podcast.
We come from Springfield, baby. We come from Springfield. We come from Springfield, baby. We come from Springfield. We come from Springfield, baby. We come from Springfield. We come from Springfield, baby. We come from Springfield.
We are the video podcast celebrating the streaming series available on Amazon Prime and Tubi, Gravesend, written, created, and directed by William DeMeo.
William is from the Gravesend part of New York, which is also known as Bensonhurst.
Bensonhurst. I guess they didn't.
Correct.
A lot of the folks didn't like the term Gravesend, so they leaned more towards Bensonhurst. And I think this series is bringing back some of that original.
Bringing back
flair.
that terminology.
Yeah. Evidently, he grew up on West Street, and I believe that's the name of his film production company, West Street Productions. So we talked a little bit about this in our very first episode, but on this show, Lisa, I really wanted to take a deep dive, talk about some of the characters, the locations, really the details that make this series such a great series to watch and get into.
And really why we started the podcast.
Yeah,
because,
why we started
you
it.
know, it's the devil's in the details.
It
and here
is.
We're here to celebrate those details.
You know what it was, Lisa? You and I were sitting down discussing the show that we watched earlier. I think it was the night before. It was like an over morning coffee.
Yes.
And we were just having so much fun discussing the details. It kind of inspired us to do the show.
It really did.
So I want to just mention that William DeMeo's very first movie, and you may have caught it in the last episode, was The Bronx Tale in 1993 with Chaz Palminteri, who is also in season 2 of Gravesend series.
Yes, Chaz is the boss.
So he was supposed to have just a couple of like kind of stand-in extra scenes. He had a couple of speaking lines that was really
in
fun.
The Bronx Tale. You're speaking of
in the Bronx Tale. Yep, I believe he was like the older teenage version of All the Friends of Calogero. So his first producing accomplishment was One Deadly Road in 1998, where he produced, and he also played the leading role. He wrote, produced, and co-directed, and also played the leading role in 2000 Wannabes, which I believe he won Best Director Award in the New York Independent Film Festival, and also the Best Director and Supporting Actor. So he has some accolades, this William DeMeo.
Yes, he does.
Not just Gravesend.
This is not just his first time here on the block or in the streets.
Of course, everybody knows, or if you haven't picked up on this yet, William DeMeo was in The Sopranos the last couple of seasons, and I believe he was part of Paulie Walnut's crew. Okay. We showed it in one of the last episodes. One of the scenes, he was doing the cigarette run with Christopher. I think he was unloading some Mr. Coffees, but we talked about that in the last one.
Yes, we did.
He also, really something else I want to bring up. In 2001, he played Carlo Gambino in The Boss of Bosses. So, yeah, he's done quite a things. And then, of course, he played opposite of John Travolta in Gotti, playing Sammy the Bull Gravano.
Yes, great job at Sammy the Bull.
Gotti was a really interesting program. And also, Leo Rossi was in Gotti, who we're going to be talking about. A few different of the other cast members here from Gravesend.
Yes. There's so many faces that you'll recognize throughout the series, and you'll recognize them from some of your favorite movies.
You know, and that's just it, is that Gravesend may have been the vision, Lisa, of one man, William DeMeo. But it took a real cast of characters to bring this story to life in such a realistic way. And we're talking about the characters this is filled with people that you love already. Huge names from Chaz Palminteri, Vincent Pastore, remember him from Big Pussy, of course. James Russo, who plays Crazy Chris Talva, all the way back to Beverly Hills Cop. I mean, really plays a lot of great street guys.
Yes.
Armand Asante is also in season 2. I mean, huge names like that.
There's just so much talent from The Sopranos and Goodfellas. You'll even see some folks from The Irishman.
Yeah, The Irishman is in there. All the movies that I guess
the movies you already love and know in this genre.
So there's also people you're going to recognize right away. Tony Darrow. He plays Joey Muggs, the underboss. And Tony, you'll remember him from Goodfellas. He was the one that Al Pacino. God, he was the one that Joe Pesci smashed the bottle over his head because he owned the Bamboo Lounge. Tony is an unbelievable talent. This guy he is one of those. He's one of those knock-around guys, right, that has been a supporting role, a part of every single movie that's had anything with OC or organized crime in the past, probably 3 decades. And he comes from this neighborhood. His dad was one of these guys. And he plays it so well. He's also a beautiful singer. I don't know if you know this. He sings, he dances. Tony Darrow's a triple threat.
Triple threat.
Who else we've got? We've got Louis Lombardi. Of course, you know him from The Sopranos. He played the cop who was handling Big Pussy Bumpin' Zero. Paul Ben Victor is in this show. Let me tell you something. This guy, there's a scene, and I'm not going to blow it because we haven't covered it yet. It's coming up. I believe it's either in episode
Don't spoil it
3
for
or
everybody.
episode 4. This guy, he blew me away. His acting. He steals every scene that he's in. I absolutely
Another scene stealer.
He is a scene stealer. Paul Ben Victor. He plays Matty Cigars. And,
yes,
he's a alternative family captain, and we get into some heavy things. I mean, in the very first episode, it was actually the sit down between him and Nick Zee, played by William DeMeo, our lead character.
And that was because Dom was causing some problems at the club, if you remember.
Yeah, you might have seen it in episode 2.
Yeah,
no,
go ahead and go back and watch both episode 1 and 2 of Talking Gravesend podcast and the Gravesend series. And that this is your first episode of the Talking Gravesend podcast. We've got 2 episodes out. We're about to roll out 3 and 4. So really, the right way to do this is to go watch episode 1 of Gravesend. And chronological order is usually the smartest
over
way,
to Talking
Chris.
Gravesend podcast. Yes. All right, fine. I appreciate that, Lisa.
Yes.
Thank you. So let's talk a little bit about more of the cast that's there. I mean, there are so many players, again, from The Sopranos. And this fella shows right up. He plays Uncle Charlie. He is Nick Zee's big uncle. He's the guy who really brought him into the life, if you will. And he's played by Chris Tardio.
Yes.
And he
has a pretty big character in this series. He really there's a lot of fear, a lot of excitement around his character. So I can't wait to see more of him in future episodes.
You might remember him, Lisa. He was in The Sopranos. He was Sean. He was Matthew. Up in the club.
I'll never forget that scene.
In the club.
I don't know why that scene stuck with me. Well, I don't know.
I can never see that scene and not say.
Yeah, well, it was the
soundtrack.
2 young guys doing bong hits in their underwear, and that
We're
track
talking about The Sopranos, by the way, when Furio comes to collect the boss money, and
that song "Up in the Club." I can't take it.
So, and then of course that was Lilo, and he played Calagio, and then he was in The Sopranos as well as playing Matthew Drinkwater Bevilacqua,
yes,
I believe.
Mommy.
You guys saw it. Come on, we all love The Sopranos. Just wanted to do this show, and just since we're talking about it, I will publicly thank. Both the folks, Christopher Moltisanti and Bobby Baklava, or shall I say Michael Imperioli.
Yes. Thanks for some
and
inspiration.
Steve Sciarippa. The Talking Sopranos podcast was certainly an inspiration to the Talking Gravesend podcast. So absolutely love the show.
Give credit where credit's due.
I got to give credit where credit's due. And I love what I love so much about the Talking Sopranos podcast is especially Michael really goes into the film biographies, talks about all the different work that folks have done, and that kind of really inspired me to really kind of do the same thing here on the Talking Gravesend podcast.
Sure, and they add perspective to the show that things you may have missed, the song playing and how it ties into the scene, or if there's any type of foreshadowing that you may have missed in the story. So
this series
I always
does
like that.
There's really not a detail, in my humble opinion, missed. Just like The Sopranos writing,
we've got some great writing
there's
here.
There's always something. There's always a meaning behind it. There's nothing just random that's really put out for the viewer to take in.
Agreed.
So let's just dive into more. So we got Joe D'Onofrio.
Sorry,
Joe D'Onofrio. I think I've said it. Joe D'Onofrio. Joe is, of course, he was Slick in The Bronx Tale. He was young Tommy in Goodfellas. Remember, he met Hendry.
Oh, Hendry.
Yeah,
okay,
that was
yes,
him. Yeah,
yes.
great.
Hey, Hendry.
Patrick Botticelli. Now, he plays our favorite character in season 1, Gino. Unbelievable guy.
We love you, Gino.
You're going to love watching him. And I like his haircut with his line cut right in.
It's so stylish.
You know who else is in it is Bo Dietl, from Wolf of Wall Street.
Yes.
He plays Santo. Beautiful role. He's got a great voice, and he has a really great camera presence, in my opinion. So I really enjoy having Bo on the set as Santo, and he's part of Benny's crew, right? He's one of Benny's guys. He runs.
Correct.
He runs the wire room with the sport.
Sure, you're. I was going to say the betting parlor.
So here's another kind of a new guy for me. Actually, was Peter Gaudio. This guy's a monster. He works out all the time. I follow him on Instagram. Peter, we like you, man. I like his inspiration for staying in the gym. You know, we both work out. We try to. You're a 6 day a week. I try to be a 5 day a week, and you know, it helps us with all the different.
Absolutely, it's very good for your mental health.
It's good for your mental health.
It's good for your body. It's
So,
good for your soul.
I've been watching Peter online recently. He's doing a bunch of different work. He plays Big Rocco.
Big Rocco.
He's kind of like a heavy. I really like his character, and he's kind of omnipresent throughout both seasons that we've had the opportunity to watch. And I know he's in some new work as well. He was working with Tony Darrow recently on a jerky set, something like that. So yeah, I have to check with that. Jerky Crew. So we got to see about that. All right, so let's move to my next favorite character right here. Okay, Christina DeRosa.
Christina.
She plays Carmine Rizzo's daughter, Virginia.
Virginia.
Who is the real love interest for Benny Zee.
She's cute as a button. Her accent is just great. I love listening to her talk.
Her accent, it's almost over the top, but then it's not.
And it's so sweet, too.
It's sweet. So she has a certain, number one, her and William DeMeo have got a lot of chemistry.
Great chemistry. Great chemistry.
You cannot deny the chemistry that these two have. I believe it's so hard. And you're right. Her wardrobe is just a 10. It's a 10.
Gosh, she looks
the jewelry,
really great.
her hair, her makeup even is on point.
Absolutely.
And that goes the same really with all the guys throughout the show, all the gals, the time period wardrobe work, and hats off to wardrobe. You guys you all did a wonderful job putting this together, and there's not a lot that's out of place when you take a look at that stuff. So I really enjoy it, with the exception of a couple of exterior stuff that they had to deal with the split air conditioning systems. I know I blurred those out a bit, but
I know.
Beyond that, I mean, as a period piece, it really doesn't slip.
Absolutely.
So, Christina, huge fan. Thank you. Follow you on all this stuff. We love you. You looked wicked hot in that pink dress when they when Benny
slams the dinner.
You notice you didn't throw the dinner at his house. That was like Carmen Rizzo left you this house.
Hey, a masculine moment.
Oh
you know?
my God, and she looked pretty damn hot in that. Just, I mean, with all due respect, darling.
Hey, I'm not an unconfident woman.
No, you're
I'd
not.
I'd say that she's hot.
Yeah, yes. She is hot. All right, so the next
Damn, Virginia.
The next character, or rather professional actor we'd like to talk about quickly is Leo Rossi, who plays Mikey the Hat. Leo Rossi, just saw him in Gotti the other night. He was fantastic. This is a seasoned guy.
Wait a minute. When did you have time to watch Gotti?
You fell asleep.
When did you watch this again? I'm a little out of the loop here.
So Leo does a really nice job. He's a pretty pivotal character, supporting role, of course.
I hope he gets made soon.
So I like him, okay, and I like his lines. I do a little teeny bit at times struggle with his physicality inside of the scenes, right? Because I want to see him be a little bit more in shape and used to throwing beatings. That said, I'm not. I don't know exactly where I stand on that. I may
don't judge a book by its cover.
I may reserve the right to retract that.
He may have a punch that.
Hey, you know about that.
Knocking.
I knew a couple of guys. They had one. I don't want to get this one guy, and then my friend's little brother's got one too. He's got one punch. It's a right cross. It fucking cashes people out every time. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, move on. Ken Lerner, the next Eric. This character, he plays Abe, who is the Hasidic Jewish jeweler, who is another kind of supporting character.
Oh my gosh, Abe is great in his role here. I love that character.
He kills it. The very first scene we learn about him was in episode 1 when he has to
stand up for his nephew after losing the 20,000.
He slapped the crap out of that kid, and I didn't question his performance at all. At all.
Nope.
It was just, this is this guy. I believe it. Ken, you did an amazing job. I just absolutely love the work that you did here, and you're going to see a little bit more of him because this kind of establishes this relationship. Because in Brooklyn, there's many different, I guess, cultural neighborhoods, right? And Borough Park is a primarily Jewish neighborhood, and that story of that neighborhood is intertwined into the story of Bensonhurst and Gravesend and its residents. So I think it's really it was really cool how they brought that all together. So Ken, unbelievable job. The next actor we'll talk about is William Forsythe. I mean, he's from Sheepheads Bay. It's Sheepheads Bay. I mean, this guy is from the area. We've watched him. He's been in so much work in the past decade. Excuse me, probably got 2 or 3 decades now.
For sure.
God, I don't remember. I'm trying to remember the very first role I saw him in, but the one that stands out to me was in Boardwalk Empire. He played that Philly boss, and he ended up reaching. Well, it didn't end well, but it was a heck of a scene and a heck of a role.
Yes.
The next person, do you want to read some of these guys?
No, you go ahead.
Okay,
You're on a roll.
Hey, you know what? I did a little bit of homework here, Lisa. I wanted to be ready for the episode. And, and we apologize right now to all of the talent that is on this show if we mispronounce your name, which I know I am, and I apologize, and I openly invite you to come on the show and correct me on how to say your name right, and then we'll get to know you a little bit better.
Yes, my husband is also a name butcher.
I do
outside of the studio.
That's why I like social media, Lisa, because I can see everybody's face and name, and it helps me understand who they are.
Yeah, and then you got to listen to them say their name.
You got to listen to them say your name, exactly.
Yeah.
So here, this is the next actress that really stood out to me, was Sophia Milos. I mean, she's beautiful, and you all remember her from The Sopranos when she played the mob boss over in Italy, Annalisa Zucca. She was the one who was kind of like, she wasn't the boss, but she was the boss. Her husband was in prison, and they had the scene where she tried to kind of hook up with Tony, and Tony says he wasn't shit where he eats. And she was a
smart move, Tony.
Yeah, smart move. And then she, of course, had her nails all burnt. That the girl was collecting her nails.
Yes, I think we talked about this in the.
So she's an amazing actress. She was.
Yeah, well, a lot of people believe in having people can cast a spell on you if they they have access to your hair or your nails.
This is a no maloic zone.
Don't leave that stuff around.
So I don't know if you know this, but she was in CSI Miami. She holds, I believe, like 3 passports.
Yeah, doesn't she speak like
Italy.
7 languages?
She speaks like 7 languages.
Unbelievable.
She's unreal.
She's an amazing talent.
Amazing talent. You're gonna love watching her. She does a great job. Unbelievable. And the character that she plays is Crazy Chris Talva's wife. And it's a great character for her. It's apropos. She handles herself in such a way. Her daughter is played by Chaz Palminteri's daughter.
Yeah,
actually, Gabriella.
She does a great job, for sure. She does a really amazing job there. Sorry.
So just in case it did fall out, Sophia Milos, 7 languages, multiple film accolades. She holds 3 passports.
Yeah.
She's beautiful.
I really love her as an actress and as a character. I struggle with her and Chris as a couple.
I know you do.
I know I haven't.
We're going to get to that.
All right.
She does a great job.
And he does a great job.
He does a great job. And boy, do her and Benny
I just don't see it.
have some chemistry together as well.
Yes.
It really is. Now, somebody else that we didn't bring up was Al Seponenza, and that's Mikey Palmisi. Everybody remembers. So Al's a real creep in this one. He's a rat. You're going to love hating him just the way that I do. And we weren't going to give it away, but he's also in the show. And just a great actor, a great talent. Actually, I listened to him on the Talking Sopranos podcast and learned a little bit about him. And it's funny, he actually changed his name and tried to not be so Italian. Then he couldn't get Italian roles. So then he moved back to New York and he changed his name back, and he's getting more of those roles. So I think he's really, he was always Mr. GQ, right? He always looked really good.
Quite handsome.
In The Sopranos. And he does in this show, too. He's a real asshole, though. You'll enjoy not liking him. Trust me.
Absolutely.
So the other guy I want to bring up really quick that was kind of a surprise to me was Chuck Zito.
Chuck Zito.
He plays Carmine Rizzo doing Life. This guy is bigger than life. Chuck Zito was a former president of the New York City chapter of the Hells Angels. This guy has a long list of amazing accolades. He's a real bruiser. He was in the boxing world. He was Sylvester Stallone's bodyguard during Staying Alive. This guy's got a long history in New York, and I think it was a real smart play by William to include him in this production.
Good cast, yeah, absolutely.
The show is also a family affair, Lisa, like we touched upon. There's standout supporting performances.
My goodness, William's son, Christian DeMeo.
Christian, I'm so impressed with what you are doing. We can tell the work that you're putting into this. We can tell how much effort you put into your lines and how much preparation you put into the scene. Outstanding job. Keep going. We love your scenes. There are so many good scenes with you. You guys you're going to get a kick out of this. I didn't even know that Sammy, that's who he plays. He plays Sammy, Mikey the Hat's nephew. I didn't realize that Christian, who plays Sammy, was William's son.
William's son, yes.
I mean, it's amazing. And they do such a good job not being father and son, right? He really does a great job in acting in this, Christian.
Definitely.
And then the other family affair we mentioned, who plays
Chaz Palminteri's daughter.
Yeah, it's Gabriella Palminteri.
Correct.
And she plays Rosemarie Telva.
Yeah. And she has a great scene right there in the second episode. Very powerful for such a young woman.
She's in the second episode,
Really?
second season. I don't think we meet her into the second season, but I'll tell you, her scenes are very powerful. There was a scene with her just driving in the car with a black eye from this fight that happened at the roller rink, and just how she drove in the car made sense to me. You know what I mean? This girl, she's great, and you're going to love the chemistry between her and young Christian DeMeo because there's a little bit of that going on as well. So just get ready. All right, the next character I want to talk about, or rather actor, is kind of a newcomer for me, and he really surprised me. It's Christopher Mamondo, who plays Gaetano. You don't get to meet him until season 2. He was doing 6 years in jail, if I'm not mistaken, during season 1. We first meet him down in Florida. He comes to see the gang, and he brings a bunch of John's heroes.
Yes, the heroes. Here we go again.
So, really, the writing really took me by surprise. Everything was executed with really great effort. Besides the amazing cast and the dead-on writing, the show delivers on that late 80s feel of that authentic experience.
Oh, my gosh, absolutely. I was young. I grew up in the 80s. I was 10 in 88.
Okay. All right, so 86, I was... No, wait a minute. I was 14?
Yeah.
No, I was 16. Hold on a minute. No, I was 14 years old at 86. So, yeah, I was kind of coming into my age at this time. Quite frankly, well, you know what? Might as well go ahead. I mean, I was going to nightclubs, frankly, at 16.
That's common.
Throughout. Yeah, no, we and of course, we're family owned, a lot of them. So
yeah, and when you're you're a big boy.
You're a big guy. I was in nightclubs at a very young age, and quite frankly, nightclubs were freaking hot in the late 80s. 88,
it was
89.
the thing to do, from what I understand.
We would go down to even the Musquamaket. There was an underage club called L.A. Beach Club we used to go to. I remember sneaking into 2001 down in Connecticut on the Berlin Turnpike. I know that sounds kind of crazy. I made a fake ID to get in, and it worked. It was a piece of cake. It was a horrible fake ID, too. But anyway, I regress. But that's what I mean by it brings you back. You miss going out to nightclubs. You know what I miss? I miss how everybody dressed. Every nightclub scene, all the men are wearing blazers and shirts, and no one's wearing a freaking T-shirt, and the girls are dressed up. I mean, that was one of the things. You spent the day shining your car to have it look beautiful, and then you would take a cruise and go. If there wasn't anything going on, I remember just cruising to go different neighborhoods just to kind of run through people's neighborhoods and see what's happening and partying.
If you were wearing a hat, it was because you were outside and you had a coat on and it was cold. And then when you go inside, you take your hat off.
Okay.
That's just something people don't do now. I see a lot of people eating dinner with hats on.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. Anyway.
Hey, call me old school.
Call me old school.
Take
your fucking hat off at the table.
Take your hat off at the table.
And by the way, if you're in the Northeast and it's the months of January, February, or March, the proper attire for the bottom half of your body is pants. It's not
pants.
shorts or freaking sandals. I see so many kids today at the bus stop. It's freaking 18 degrees. They got a pair of shorts on and flip-flops. Anyway.
I know. My brother wears shorts.
Anyway.
Why do you do that?
We love you, Uncle Jeff.
Maybe you need a Brooklyn sweatsuit as well.
You do need a Brooklyn brand sweatsuit. So I want to talk a little bit about the automobiles because that's something else that really grabbed me about this show. Filled with awesome cars. Because I grew up in this time, I love these cars, right? I always wanted a Buick Grand National. That's Benny Z's main ride. I said it was an 85 Grand National. I found out on the line, I believe it's an 87 Grand National that he drives.
There you go.
Fastest production car made during 85 to 87. I love an Olds 442. Same thing. Love that. Or the Hearst Olds you'll see. There's a ton of Lincolns in here. Lincoln Mark 7. Cadillacs that you want. Eldorado, Sevilles, Elegance. They're all in this show. And beautiful cars. Beautiful cars. I know Gaetano drives a tuxedo version Cadillac with the black exterior and the white interior, Vogue tires and spoke rims. Come on, it's beautiful. There's some great cars, so you don't want to miss. I mean, I've got a picture here of this Monte Carlo. Fucking gorgeous, man. I mean, cars just everything was American back then. When I grew up, the only cars that I knew about was Ford, Chrysler, Chevy. You know what I mean? That was it. There wasn't really any other.
You have such passion in your eyes as you're talking about this. I appreciate the cars. I think they're beautiful. I couldn't name one other than what I have here on
Lisa, Buick. Buick was huge, and I wanted a Buick Regal. I wanted a Buick. The old guys had the Buick Riviera. All of these cars. Every Buick you want to know about, it's in the show. It's not just the cars. It's not just the cast. It's the songs. The soundtrack.
The soundtrack.
In fact, truth be told, Lisa, the soundtrack's what got me to watch the show.
Oh, I know it.
I
set it off.
Set it off on the left. Y'all, I mean, come on. That was awesome. Strife. I remember, God, the first time I heard that song, I think I was in the Bronx, actually. That was an awesome, awesome song. Tons of freestyle clubhouse music. Springfield, Massachusetts is a huge clubhouse town. Also into New York. I actually recorded a couple of freestyle albums on a recording studio back in the 90s with Giggles' cousin, as a matter of fact. God, I forgot the label that was on. But Giggles' Love Letters is in there. You're going to hear Niobe in the very first episode. Please Don't Go, a great song. Just William, you did a great job because, you know what the thing is that people used to make fun of me for listening to that music sometimes. And I remember people saying that to me. Like, why do you always want to listen to these young Puerto Rican girls? And that was literally what a kid said to me one time. And they didn't understand that this was cool music. And if you wanted to date like hot girls, you had to know how to dance and dress well. And if you didn't know these songs and didn't know how to look cool dancing to them, you didn't pull hot ass. So screw you for not liking hot Puerto Rican girl songs. I love them.
There you go.
Anyway, all right, let's keep on trucking. Also, one of the things that's fun to watch about the show is that there's lots of great jewelry. People are wearing super duper jewelry.
The watches.
I'm a huge watch fan, as you know.
Chains. That bracelet Virginia's given.
Not so bad.
Those earrings she wears.
Every guy in Benny's crew wears a Rolex, except for Benny's watch. I haven't identified yet. I haven't dug in. I think it's a Cartier. Oh. Really, really nice watch. So, yeah, you don't have to be a DJ to love the soundtrack. You don't have to be a designer to love the clothes and the jewelry. You don't have to be a car collector to love the cars. You just have to have maybe
You don't even have to be from New York to enjoy it.
You don't even have to be from New York, right? You can be from. You want to know about this neighborhood. This is like
it's a little timepiece. It brings you back to stories you may have heard in the 80s. It brings you back to just fun memories.
And that's just it. Fun memories. That's exactly what this show does for me. It brings me back to a time when I was young and I felt like the world was ahead of me and that everything was still possible and that we had the ability to reach out and do just about anything. And now that I'm 52, life has come at you pretty hard in different times, and you realize that you don't have the world by the short hairs, and you got a lot of dues to pay. And it's nice to watch a show that just brings you back to those late 80s when times were good, money was around, the music was there, everybody was about looking good, and it was just a great time. Yeah. Great time in history.
Car washes were still $3.
Car washes were still $3. So anyway, you guys, thank you so much for sticking around and watching this deep dive podcast all about Gravesend series. Make sure you go ahead and follow the Gravesend series and all of the cast members on their social media platforms.
Go light them up.
Light them up. Go see William DeMeo, and everybody is on Instagram. Go ahead and follow them. Make sure you follow Gravesend series, and of course Gravesend series on Instagram. And get ready, season 3 is going to be coming out. You can find all of their episodes streaming live right now on Amazon Prime and Tubi. And how about some calls to action for our good old show?
Well, we're the Talking Gravesend podcast. You can follow our YouTube channel. You can subscribe. We're on Facebook and we're on Instagram. So
we would love it if you do so. Go ahead and let us know if you like the show. What do you want us to talk about? What are some of the things you need us to cover and take a deeper dive into? We're having a lot of fun doing this, a little bit of a passion project, so super fun. Thanks a lot. Anything else you want to say?
No, thanks for being here.
All
we'll
right.
see you on the next episode.
All right, take it easy, you guys. We'll see you later.
Laters.